Hey guys, I'm Jordan Fromer. I believe in hunting hard, hunting smart, and having a fun time while doing it. And shooting limits, well, that's just the icing on the cake. I revel in the journey just as much as the successes it brings. From ducks to dogs to decoys and guns, we'll be talking tactics, strategies, and what it takes to get the job done. Load up and take aim. This is the Duck Gun Podcast.
What's going on, folks? Thanks for joining me for another episode of the Duck Gun Podcast. I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles, and you are listening to the podcast that helps you become a better waterfowl hunter. Today, this weekend, we're up at the boat again, working our butts off, and we're going to bring you an awesome update on all the trials and tribulations and triumphs of the boat project. So, alongside me for the boat project, per usual, we got Zachary Conrad, young Padawan, and Hunter, King of the Cans. So we're all tired and worn out. Like my brain almost malfunctioned while just trying to say their names. So, so this is going to be a fun one. But we got so much craziness to share with you from another day aboard the Timber Queen. On the heart, though. She's still not in the water.
Not yet.
Soon.
So, let's get a quick word from our partners before we jump into the main meat of the content, and we'll jump right back into it. So first off, I'd like to give a big thanks to onX. Guys, onX is a great app for the waterfowl hunter. It's got plenty of tools. Recent imagery is great for that scouting. It's great for being able to see the water levels. I think I'm delirious. Oh, man. But I used it last year on the Minnesota trip when I didn't use it. I wish I would have been able to use it, but I found out afterwards it would have been a great tool because we spent like a whole day scouting around pretty much for water, and it would have been awesome to use that tool. And so that'll definitely be in my repertoire, my tool belt coming up this season, using that recent imagery tool. Also like to give big thanks to Motion Ducks. Motion Ducks is the jerk rig on steroids. They have the ultimate spreader and the basic spreader. Both of them are great options. I've been running like just the single spreader more than the ultimate over the last couple of years, just because of its simplicity and ease of use, quickness for setting up. Puts that lifelike motion in the set. But don't just take it from my word. You guys need to see a video of it. If you haven't seen a video of it, it really, that's the best way to do it justice, is seeing that thing in action. So go over to motionducks.com/DuckGunChronicles and use code DuckGun10 over there. You get 10% off and a free anchor bag, and get you one of those Motion Ducks jerk rigs on steroids. So also like to give a big thanks to Weatherby. Weatherby has been making some great shotguns over the last couple of years. They got the Sorex, they got the Orion side-by-side, the Orion over-under, they got the Element, they got the 18i. They're becoming leaps and bounds on all their shotgun products, just innovating and just making some great stuff. If you're in the market for a waterfowl shotgun, definitely go over there to Weatherby and consider one of those when you're looking for your shotgun. Also, like to give a big thanks to Final Approach. Final Approach is the one-stop shop for the duck hunter. They got blinds, they got decoys, waders, you name it, everything that you need over there. The website is fabrand.com, and use code DuckGun10. Alrighty, let's go ahead and, dive into it. So, where should we start, guys? Where should we start? So, I think we should start by telling you kind of where we're at so far on the boat. So recap of the boat project. So the first weekend we came out here, we got into the boat. There was just junk everywhere. There was nuts everywhere. There was rat nests, mouse nests, squirrel nests, squirrel drawers full of walnuts, and the bilge full of junk. Just, a complete and utter mess. And with our hearts full of joy, we carried all that junk. Just a pile. I had to rent a pretty sizable dumpster to put it all in. So we cleaned it all out, and we started to feel pretty good about our progress. Then we got back weekend 2, and we had lofty goals to get all the caulk pulled out, to get it all sanded, and even potentially start caulking again. And we kind of went back and forth on our whole plan. Well, we got partway done with pulling the caulk out. Actually, no, we got all the pulling the caulk out. We started sanding, and then Hunter's like, man, inside of the bilge isn't looking great. And so we had to backtrack and start working on the deck. So we got the deck covered for the most part, and we still didn't get all the way done with that. So that brings us to weekend number 3 after, we say it like that in a real quick fashion, but every one of those days that we were here, we're talking like 12 hours, nose to the grindstone, as Zach would say, head down, working.
Working hard.
Yeah, working hard. Absolutely busting it as fast, almost as fast as humanly possible. Muscles failing, body failing, hurting back, busted up hands and knuckles. We're giving it everything we got when we're here for those days. So now here we are, the third weekend, being up here at the boat, and our goal was to finish the back of that deck, and to sand everything else and get stuff sealed and caulked. So I'm happy to announce that we're way ahead of schedule. If it was like the first weekend. But it's not. So, Hunter.
Yeah.
Where are we at right now?
As far as our projects, we had, I guess I should say this. I'm usually the pessimistic one. So I kind of saw this project going the way that it has. But with that being said, I actually think we're right on with where I figured we would be. We're real close to how I thought we would be at this point. So, we're starting to put stuff together now. We're no longer really tearing that much stuff apart anymore. It's mostly rebuilding at this point, which is about what I figured we would be at.
How about you, Zach? Is that a fair statement?
We're behind where I thought we'd be, but we have the deck sealed. We started sanding.
Wait. We have the deck sealed?
No, we have the deck installed.
We have the deck installed. We have to seal it yet, but we started sanding. And, today we kind of got into ripping out some of the rotted boards, and you kind of peel back the layers on the onion, and you see more rotted boards, and it just keeps going. So
Did I mess up?
No way.
With purchasing the boat? No, we're still no way. Hunter?
No, I love this boat. It's still the coolest boat in the whole marina here.
Yeah, in the whole state.
It's the coolest boat in this marina here.
It might be in a couple 100-mile radius. But what were you going to say, Zach?
It's to the point where I have almost an emotional attachment to this.
Oh, I don't almost have an emotional attachment. I straight up have an emotional attachment.
Oh, we know you do.
Inanimate object.
We know Hunter does. He likes to spend alone time with the boat. Right?
Yeah, I like to come up here. I like to be here before you guys get here. I don't know what to tell you.
He actually cut out 5 hours.
4 hours.
4.5, somewhere in there, to be with the boat before we got here this weekend. Something like that, right?
Yeah, something like that. It was not the exact circumstances.
But we're poking fun at you for that. But, so like you said, we started getting the deck rebuilt, and that went great. And that's kind of where we left. And when we left, we were like, I feel like thinking about what we had left to do and where we're at, we all kind of agreed like it was like downhill from there, right? And that was kind of like what you guys kept saying. Both of you guys were saying that at the end of that. Mm-hmm. You're reassuring me that we're downhill from here. Today has felt like an uphill battle. It did not feel like coasting downhill.
I didn't say anything about coasting.
Sure, but like that's kind of what that implies. Like downhill is like easier going.
I felt like, I don't know if I say it was easier going, but it was still not as bad as ripping caulk out above my head.
I think last time we hit a plateau, and this week we're still going up the mountain.
Right. I sanded from like 10 till 7:30 when we quit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's literally all I did today was just sand. I did a little bit of other things before that, and like getting some shots for the video and this and that, and working on like minor things. And then I went straight into sanding, and I sanded for what was that, like 9.5 hours, and we're still not done with
the deck.
It's like the deck. Yeah. And like the thing is, the actual deck is like all new boards that didn't need sanded. So it's like the sides of the deck and the part where the railing goes on, and then the side of the cabin.
And we haven't even touched the hull yet.
Right, we did last time, but yeah,
this time around. Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I can barely breathe through my nose because there's so much dust in there. Sand, probably lead-based sand too. Sand, I'm in paint.
Lead-based paint.
It probably is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so you guys, I mean, I had it better than that, I guess, in the builds today.
Nice and cool.
Yeah, it was nice and cool in the builds, not in the sun. We had the one, wow, I cannot think of the word. What's the word for
stringer?
Stringer. That was bad. So I spent most of the day shoring that up. Spent a couple hours getting that all
4
situated. Hours. Yeah, 4 is a couple, right?
No.
What was 4? Many?
A couple's 2.
No, a couple could be 2 to 7.
I'd call it a few.
I'd say a few as well.
Okay.
I think couple's 2 and a few is more than 2.
All right. Then I spent a few hours shoring up that, and then wait. We also had an issue today waiting on batteries. Where for the power tools, we constantly were just like waiting on batteries to charge. And so in between waiting for a battery to charge, I would vacuum, which uses a different type of battery out of a different tool. And then as I'd go through those batteries, I'd have another battery that was charged to go back to drilling and all that other stuff. So it took a while, but they're done. It's done. All we have to do to like officially check that off is to actually run screws from the hull boards up into the new stringer.
Yep.
That's the last step that we have to do.
Yeah.
And it's officially, that's done.
Zach, what's going to be your favorite thing about hunting out of this in duck season?
Just spending like days at a time on the river. It'll be complete immersion on the river. It won't feel like you're going on multiple hunts. It'll feel like one long extended hunt. And that's just an experience that I don't think a lot of people get to have, and so I'm
Most
excited.
Most people, right? Don't.
Yeah.
Like it's
almost like camp hunting.
Right. That's exactly what I was going to say. Camp hunting, but even beyond that, it's like camp hunting, but
you don't leave the water.
Right. I mean, we don't have to. So that'll be kind of the goal. Hunter, are we going to make it by season?
Oh yeah, yeah, no doubt. This thing will happen by season. It'll be in the water. We'll be duck hunting in it September.
September 1st.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not going to say September 1st, but we'll be duck hunting in it in September.
I think we're going to have to plan more weekends up here than we're expecting. But
we already have. We added one.
Yeah. I think you'll have to add more than one.
Maybe.
I agree, but I bet it'll be in the water.
Yeah.
Because I think at a certain point, we're going to run into like that, what is it called, like the sunk cost fallacy, where it's going to be like, well, we already have this much time in it. We just need to get it done. And so we'll just run into that, and then we'll end up spending 3 weekends in a row up here just to make it happen, which I'm not like saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying I really do think that if it comes to that'll happen. Like,
right. So if like we have to like in September, you like, will it be in the water or be here?
We'll be duck hunting in it in September.
But here in the water.
We will be duck hunting from it in September.
So that's your prediction.
Yeah, I mean, I really do think it'll be in the water. I was just being kind of facetious there, but I really do think it'll be in the water for us to duck hunt. I don't know if it'll be September 1, but I think that like in September we'll be able to be in the water. Which the first openers we really haven't found out when the actual openers start up, but last week of September is when they'll for sure be ready for that.
Yeah, Zach, when we making it in the water?
I think by September 1st it'll be in the water.
We'll be hunting.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think you're going to have to add a couple more work weekends. But I think we can get it done. I'm pretty invested in getting it done. It's a challenge at this point. So
Yep. So we've actually we had to add in value system for Zach today. You know, just because of some of his recent transgressions, and and so we came up with it. It's called Padawan punishment. And And he started off with like 20 days that he was allotted for his allowance to hunt off the boat this season. But he's actually skipping our next work weekend, which he's like, hey, we're going to need to add more. But he's skipping one.
Well, you added this one after the fact, so.
We're going to add all of them after the fact.
Right, yeah.
Sure.
So we have to dock those days, the 3 days he's going to miss off his 20. So he's down to 17. He kind of screwed up on the back deck a little bit, so we took him down to 16. So that kind of brought up the question. He said he'd work 2 days for every 1 day he got to hunt off the boat.
Which I think is crazy.
Yeah.
There's no way I would do 2 12-hour days to hunt 1 day.
Yeah.
There's no way.
So you said you're cool with if we worked 14 days hunting 7. So
No, I want to make clear I did not say that. My thought was coming from, like, if we got to spend 30 days working on it, if I could hunt 15 times off of it this year, I think it'd be worth it.
he's changing his words.
I mean,
None of that's really going to happen. We're not going to allow.
Yeah, he's not going to be allowed to be on for 15 days.
I'm just kidding. No. Zach's a hard worker, and we appreciate the little fella.
First time I'll ever hear those words.
Man, did your parents love you? I'm trying to figure out what that means.
I was trying to say something different,
Okay.
but my brain's mush.
Our brains are all mush, obviously. So, no, you'll be hunting on here, I mean, almost as much as we will, probably. So, if I had to guess, with any luck.
I hope so.
Yeah. Good deal. So, like we said, back to the deck. And one of the things we keep running into is every time we think we're on the way out of a project, we just find more issues to fix. And it's one of those things where Zach was kind of saying this today. It's like where we're kind of posing this question, like, is it going to be ready by season kind of thing? And it's like, yes, it will. Like, we could caulk the hull and put it in the water today, and we could hunt out of it all season, but then it'd be like trash by the end of the season with rot and all the stuff. So, like, we're trying to do it right, trying to do it justice, trying to, like, extend the experience we can have with the boat. And then at the end, I would like to sell the boat at some point and get some return on the investment I made. I'm not, I don't expect to get all my money back or anything like that. But, so there's a lot of different factors going into, like, hey, yeah, we could just drop it into the water. So we come up to a point and, like, hey, there's water damage here. Do we ignore it? Do we slap a Band-Aid on it, or do we fix it as good as possible? And so we've had to do a little of all of that, but we've actually kind of even leaned more into, like, fixing it right. So that has kind of slowed us down a little bit, where and honestly, Zach, you've actually done all of the scabbing in boards where we're taking out the rotten ones. And honestly, it's turned out like they look really good, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they're coming out pretty good. So for the listeners, the process is you kind of go through and you cut out all the rot, or as much rot as you can reasonably find. And then you have to make a template for the piece that you removed, cut either plywood or some other lumber using that template size, and then install it. And ideally, if you cut out all the rot, you'll have nice solid boards to install it to.
Right. You'll be able to screw into solid boards on the underneath. And yeah, so we got a lot of that done. We got a lot of the sanding done. You got the inside of the bilge cleaned, almost all the way done. And then you got the stringer fixed. So that kind of brings us to tomorrow. And still our goal is we really want to get the deck all the way sealed, because we don't want any more water going into the hull. And, like, ever since we cleaned it, it's kind of really opened up the deck. It took all the dirt, the caulk that was in the seams kind of came up just with, like, the broom going and just with power washing and all that. And ever since then, the last couple months, we've had more and more water going in there until we can get it done. So I hate for it to be another time where we don't get it done. So I really want to get it done. But that being said, we walked around. The last thing we did today was make a game plan for tomorrow. And I think we found 4 or 5 more spots that we decided to scab in boards. I volunteered to continue with the sanding, even though, like, I'm literally, like, my forearms are, like, cramping up. So we'll see if that all sticks by tomorrow morning, because we went and got some Culvers, and by the time we got back, like climbing up the ladder, I'm like, oh my goodness, my arms are shot. So we'll see how they feel in the morning. But yeah, then we can get it all sealed up and ready to go, and be done with the deck. Be ready to paint, be ready to prime, be ready to paint, and it'll be a glorious day when I think we have completely all of the
exterior stuff done.
Well, I mean, like all of the taking stuff away,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like the new is on, and we're done. And then we have like small projects in here, and then like legal stuff, like the lights and all the requirements there for running lights and all that kind of stuff, and the motor and yeah,
bilge pumps,
right, bilge pumps, all the stuff to make it function mechanically on the water. But it'll be nice when we're done, just like finding more things to tear out.
yeah.
Motor aside, I think once the paint's on, the rest of the project's going to go pretty quick.
Even the paint, I don't think will be too bad, because the thing is, like the reason why all this is taking us longer is because we'll go to like scrape a board, and like, oh, that one's rotten, like under the paint.
Yeah, we'll scrape paint off the board, and the board comes with it.
Right, or there's like caulk, and you try to pull the caulk, and you pull the caulk off, and like part of the board comes with it, and so it's like you're just always finding new things we have to repair. It's like when we did the window in the front, we had to take it off, and you had to scab a new board on there because that window wasn't sealed right, and everything around it's rotten. But it's like,
yeah, so the window is screwed into this board in the front, and I was trying to unscrew it for a couple minutes, and then Jordan said, just grab the window, and I just pulled the entire board off. So,
right. Yep. So
yeah, you're right though. Once we get to painting, we're done finding rotten stuff. All
right,
the rotten stuff will be taken care of.
I mean,
Honestly,
pretty
once
much
we get
when
to
we
that
start
point,
to seal it, like once we're tomorrow, when we start to seal, we've done. We shouldn't be taking anything else off.
Yeah.
Like I'm sanding on the cabin. Everything will be ready to paint. By the time we put the seal down, everything will be ready to paint. That'll cure. We'll come back. We'll prime. We'll come back. Well, actually, we'll come back and we'll sand the hull, and then we'll come back and then we have to prime the bottom of the hull, or the top part of the hull, and then paint the bottom part. Yeah. Anyways, we still got some stuff to do. But one thing I wanted to read, if I can find my phone. Anyone seen it?
I got a question for you while you're like looking around for your phone and everything, and that is what project completion do you think will be the most satisfying? Like when we actually start the motor, when it's totally painted, when everything's sealed. Like what of the projects do you think will be the most satisfying to have be done?
You go ahead, Zach.
I think the painting.
The painting, like being able to look back at it and be like, oh yeah.
Yeah, once you paint it, it's going to have a completely different look, and it's actually going to look, finished or complete. So I think once you get that paint on, it's just going to completely transform the boat.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think painting it, but I'm a mechanical guy, so like once the motor starts, I'm gonna be jacked. Like you're gonna see all smiles when that happens.
That'll be a big step, because that's kind of the one unknown that we have at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is whether that motor is gonna start and run properly.
Yeah, here, cut that out.
I think you leave it. That's pretty interesting.
I don't think so.
And we're back.
I'm gonna say that it's putting the boat in the water.
I mean, that's not the completion. That's the completion of the project. I'm talking like the subset project.
Well, then I'd probably have to agree with Zach and say that like the visual of a clean
painted boat
will be like a big wow factor, and I think that'll be like the biggest for the majority of the viewers too. So it's just like, I mean, we've had little things like that through the whole process where it's like, man, this cabin looks awesome now. And we were all just jazzed, like, when we got it all cleaned and set up, and we can just chill in here because, I mean, it's literally, we've been camping in this every weekend that we've been working on it and having just a ton of fun, to be honest. So, yeah. But, like, the visual of the boat will be awesome, and then the motor running will be awesome, too. So, and then putting it in the water and it floating will be, honestly, that'll be, like, the craziest thing. And then driving it will be crazy, and then hunting from it's just it. Like, I mean, that's why we're doing it, because every little part of it is like almost an unbelievable feat. For like, if you told me like a couple of years ago, I'd be like, Man, I don't know if I believe you. So, yeah. All right, so I took some of the naysayer comments, which, at first when they're saying it, I kind of thought they were ridiculous. Now I'm starting to agree. Not necessarily, but all right, we're going to get some reactions. James Allen says, waste of energy. You got 4 likes on that comment. How do you feel about that, Zach?
Well, if it doesn't go in the water, he's right.
And if it does, what?
If it does, he's completely wrong.
Okay.
If this thing floats and drives and you can actually duck hunt off it, this is going to be like the project of all projects.
Right.
So,
See, I kind of disagree with you on that. I don't think it's like even a waste of energy. If we get a phone call, we all leave here tomorrow, we get a phone call from the guy that owns the marina and says, hey, by the way, the boat burned to the ground. I still wouldn't consider it a waste of energy. Waste of money, maybe. Waste of energy, probably not.
I see that. It's fun just hanging out in the cabin.
Right.
Like
I
after
wouldn't,
we're done working.
I agree. I wouldn't be upset about that part of it because we've got to hang out, have a ton of fun, and like even sometimes like when circumstances, like I want to say force you to do that, even though it's not like it's forced. Mm-hmm. But we've volunteered to do something like and push ourselves beyond what we normally would do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it would definitely be a waste of my
my
money.
Yeah, it would be a waste of money, but I don't think it'd be a waste of energy. I still think that the fact of actually coming up and taking on the project and everything else, and like learning from what we've already learned so far, it makes it not a waste of energy. Waste of money if it burned down tomorrow, probably. Yep. Waste of energy, I don't know.
It's not even a probably. It would just be yes. I should have spent my money differently. Brian Hamilton, he says, nothing is more expensive than a cheap boat. 11 likes on that comment. How do you feel about that, Hunter?
I like the comment. That's how I feel about that one.
See, but the thing is, okay, like we need to break down we need to break this down a little bit, okay? It's nothing cheaper, but like we got the boat for $1, right? I paid $1 for it. And before we even did that, like we budgeted out how much we thought we'd spend on the project, okay?
Yeah.
And so, but like there's literally boats out there that cost $60,000. Like this is going to be cheaper than that. But the thing that I guess we're not, like it doesn't cost us anything. And there's a saying, you either have nice stuff or you learn how to make nice stuff, right? You either can buy nice stuff and you don't have nice stuff if you just haven't decided you want to put the work in or you don't know how to, right? So we're kind of doing a little bit of both. We're learning how to and sweat equity. We're just working as hard as possible to get this done. So sure, it is like it's going to be way more expensive than $1 on a 43-foot boat. But it'd be cheaper than if we bought this thing brand new. Or in like reasonable, like cheap condition. We just couldn't, like, it would not reasonably make sense to try to do something like that with on the budget we have for this. So
yeah, and like going in the budget thing, we don't have to like necessarily go into it yet. I know that there's a time for it, but like it was budgeted. Like we budgeted, hey, this is what we think it's gonna cost. All right, now multiply it by 1.5. Right. And then, like, that's real. If you're not comfortable spending that or twice as much as what you want to budget, then, like, it's not the project for you, right? So, like, if you add up all the parts that you need for something like this and multiply it by 2 and you don't like that number, don't do it. Like, it's just – and we knew that going in. It wasn't like that's a surprise.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Crex Hunter Club says, ha, 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 ha. You're loco.
Would you want to respond to that one, Jordan?
I mean,
yes, we are.
Yeah, that's pretty much sure. I think most people would think we are, but I think that we would think people are local for not attempting what we are doing. So,
no, I think you're sane if you don't do what we're doing.
I disagree. I really do.
You think it's a crazier option to have this presented?
I've had conversations with people before, like buddies, and like I just don't understand like why you don't want to do these things that I want to do, like to the extent I want to do. And I just had to come to the realization that not everybody is like us. Like we've talked about this last night. We're pretty common in our excessive, crazy like drive to like go beyond what's normal. Okay. So it took me a while to realize that not everybody's like that. And I did think that people were crazy if they didn't want to do. Like if I told someone what this idea was and we had to do every weekend, they said, that sounds so dumb, I don't want to. I'd think they're crazy. Like especially like 5-6 years ago. Now I've come to the conclusion that, well, we're probably the crazy ones. But
You have to enjoy the process. And if you don't enjoy the process, then it's not for you. But
yeah. So this one's not too bad. Fred Clay says, "Oh, the work that you've signed yourself up for." Hunter?
Yeah, I mean, my lower back feels that comment right about now. Crawling around on my hands and knees in the build for 5 hours today, doing various things. I'd say, yeah.
Would you do it again?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. So like
so there's another giant wood boat we talked about. 3 years from now, we want to do that one.
yeah, but that one's mahogany. That one's not that one's a little bit more expensive to fix. I don't know if you know this, not mahogany's like
right
quadruple the price per board foot, if not way more than that.
Well, yeah, but you don't have to put mahogany back in there, right?
Yeah, you do. Because if you don't, like the wood expansion when it gets wet is different, and it'll mess a lot of stuff up.
Me and Zach, if we build it, we wouldn't put it back.
throw treated pine in there and call it a day.
Yeah, and that's why it wouldn't work very long. That's fine.
Jeff Anderson says, "I'll pray for you." How do you feel about that, Zach?
Oh, we appreciate the prayers.
We could use another one right about now. And Dustin Harden said, "And this is the moment that he knew he effed up." I think that was on the second video when we were like discouraged. Honestly, I wouldn't go that far, but it has been a roller coaster of emotions. We started this morning, I mean, all of us pretty much on cloud 9. And then it just goes, you get to a part of the project, you're like, oh my goodness, like I can't get anything done to like, yeah, to, it just goes in ups and downs and till you kind of baseline. And we baseline probably higher than most people.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, it's not that bad. Like, I mean, it's not like any of us decided to do this and thought it would be easy. Like it's not a shock that it sucks to crawl around in the bilge and work on a boat. Like that's not a shock to anybody, right?
M. Fairchild says, "Man, I love your enthusiasm and hate to be the pessimist, but please have a realistic conversation with someone who has experience with wood boats restoration before you put any more money into this project. This is a much bigger project." Wow, I can't speak right now. Excuse me. There's a little burp. Bigger project than you can imagine. And I'm afraid also that there are a few different fiberglass hull. Oh, wait. Wow, I messed this up. This is a much bigger project than you are imagining, I'm afraid. Also, there are a few different fiberglass hull houseboats on the market in Minnesota and Wisconsin for less than $10,000 right now. You would still get to build them into what you want. You'd be so much money ahead. Just a thought. So that was a long comment. Butchered it a little bit, but so he's not a naysayer as much, but he's trying to give us a fair warning. Is the best way I'd put it. And we've talked to some people that know stuff about wood boats, and again, we're not really surprised about it. And also, we're not trying to make it immaculate.
Yeah.
It's got to be functional.
Yeah, this is a function type of a situation here,
right?
And like the comment about the other fiberglass like houseboats and stuff like that, it's like, to put it bluntly, it's not what we wanted,
right?
Like we had the option to buy those, and it was simply like
it was the first things we saw because they're very abundant. There's a bunch around, but they do not feel or look epic.
Yeah.
They don't have the cool factor.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I'm not saying they're bad by any means. They're not like a bad boat or a bad idea. It's just that for whatever reason, we just weren't drawn to them. And even though this is going to be more of a pain in the butt and way more effort and probably cost more in the long run, it doesn't really matter because it pays for itself with the coolness, the awesomeness factor of how this thing looks and like how it feels and everything else.
Right. It'd be cool to do one of those, but for somebody, just not for us, right?
Yeah.
So we looked at stuff, and that's what we decided on. So Matthew, something last name, Kawasaki, Matthew You're looking at about $30K to make this thing clean and Coast Guard compliant. Pull the motor and have it refreshed. Mississippi is not to be messed with. What do you think, Zach?
I don't know. I think we can do it for way less than $30K. So, like Hunter kind of said, we're not looking to make this thing perfect and pristine. It's got to pass regulations, be legal, and float. So, yeah. And then in terms of the Mississippi, I can't speak on that, but I'm from the Great Lakes, so I kind of know a thing or two about big water. So, yeah.
I don't know. My thing about the Mississippi is that there's not very many. This is a good and a bad thing. There's not many parts of the Mississippi that I would call remote. Like, you're always decently close to somewhere. Whether that decently close is 10 miles or 20 miles away. I mean, actually, there's probably not very many parts on the river you're 20 miles from a town. But, like, you're not remote. So, like, if something happens, yeah, you're in the river, but, like, you're not remote.
Right, and there's other boat traffic going by and stuff like that.
Yeah, you throw an anchor out, and, like, yeah, you don't want to be that guy, but, like, you know, and it's stressful if it does break or something like that. But, like, where we're at in the Mississippi, it's all lock and dam controlled, so it's not like down south where it's just flowing current and it's just epic. It's not like that up here, and like I said, it's we're decently close to a lot of stuff, pretty much all the time. And the other thing that's kind of nice about this whole project is we'll have other boats with us all the time to be able to help if there is an issue. I mean, it's not preferable, but we could probably move this boat with one of our mud boats if we had to get it out of the way of something, or, you know, if something started happening.
Right.
But
Definitely.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the 30K comment either. I hope that's not true.
We're getting closer all the time.
Inching.
But we're not there. So, yeah, I think this is a pretty good place to go ahead and wrap it up. I will say, you know, we're going to prove the naysayers wrong. I get it. Like, it doesn't mean nothing, but it's just motivation, fire in the tank to get her done. And I'm excited for it. So, but right now we're ready to chill, relax. Hard day's work, and we got a hard day of work ahead of us tomorrow. So stay tuned, guys. We're going to keep you updated with the boat project, and then we're going to have so much fun hunting and so much fun doing podcasts and filming hunt videos and all that during season. So that's all we got for today, guys. I'm Jordan, Duck Chronicles, Zachary Conrad, the young Padawan, and Hunter, the King of the Cans. We'll see you on the next one.